Yes, sir.
I just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you so much for giving me that opportunity and that opportunity to grow in our relationship and my relationship with Penny and John. And that being the focus of the weekend, being about relationships. I like how you said, Pastor Ken, bouncing around. I told him one day, I said, if the joy of the Lord is our strength, then you're Superman. Right from the jump, like Penny and John were saying, we didn't know what to expect. We went there being like, what is this all about, kind of deal. And so I started going with, I'm going to a church conference. And the minute we got there, the first thing they said, this is not a conference. This is a gathering, and to be a part of that, like that was one of my first reactions was we are a part of something bigger, something special. These people that come together. We were encouraged to pollinate was the word they used. So we were encouraged to switch tables at each time while they asked interesting questions, getting us to think. And at no time were we ever looked down upon. We were at tables with pastors. One was a Christian psychotherapist. It was amazing to be a part of, and they valued our opinion and our input as they asked these questions that got us thinking. A big part, like Penny said, was building healthy relationships. Now I'm blessed to be a newer Christian, I guess, for 4 years, and I was taught it's relationships, not religion. And to go into these teachings of relationships, it's about the people, about how we work together. The gifts. God has entrusted us with gifts. And when you really start to unpack that, the things He's given us, He's entrusted us with. And you look in this house, you've been given the gift of pastoral. Lorna given the gift of worship. Jason given the gift of worship. Jerry given the gift of a teacher and a pastor. We see these things and you use these gifts to further the kingdom. We learned about the importance of healthy boundaries. He talked about how Jesus related to people. He had crowds of people following Him, but He wasn't always with the crowds. Sometimes He was with the 3, then the 12, then 70, and then out to the crowds. His impact, the ripple effect.
Yes.
And with that importance of healthy boundaries, taking care of ourselves, one of the things that was said was emotional, healthy Christians produce vibrant spirituality. Relational capacity, even negative relational capacity. Sometimes we need to keep people away in order to allow them to grow and us to grow. Good leader qualities. I like what Penny said, that one stuck out to me too. Your capacity to lead is directly proportionate to your capacity to follow God. And what do good leaders do? They don't point to themselves, they point to the Father. One of the things that came up when we were talking about what do you look for in a good leader? Someone who takes care of your soul. That was big. Trust versus performance. I know you touched on it. We watched this video on the Navy SEALs. And how do they choose a Navy SEAL? And they showed a graph with performance and trust. And naturally, the world would think you look for the top performers. But they actually said the top performers with no trust were toxic to the environment. That's not what they're looking for. You can't teach trust. And that's what God looks for in us. When He can fully trust us, the performance will come.
Absolutely.
We talked about how we moved. We moved from sonship to servant to soldier. You don't go from just getting to know, okay, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fix the world, right? And I know some of us have that zeal and that passion, but it starts from a position of sonship. That was mimicked in Jesus. He went in the Father's authority. Patience and perseverance. Never curse incrementalism. Right? We're always looking for these big miracles, these big, huge things. Don't ever forget about the small little details, the things that continue to come. Signs and wonders are out of our control, but they will come. And then I put my own little thing in here. I said, for some of us, just being alive is a miracle.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
Again, with sonship, we can't be a father until first being a son.
Yeah.
Jesus' relationship with the Father, how often he called on him. The Son is a reflection of the Father. Jesus was in the Father's authority. Again, to the gifts carry potential, but not authority. So many scriptures were quoted. Like Penny, I got pages and pages and pages of notes, and I love to study, but I want to pull more out of it still. I'm still digesting, I would say. But Corinthians 10:8, Paul boasts about the gifts, but he says, I boast in these gifts because I use them to build you up, not to tear you down. It's not just about knowledge, it's about being effective and functional. And then I wanted to end with, there's a couple things. One thing I liked that they kept doing was when he would make everybody take out the pendants or the coins.
I am in Christ, covered in God, and I am confident.
That's right. So he would make us take out a penlet or a coin or something you have in your pocket, and he would say, my life is hidden with Christ in God. I am secure. And that's the place I minister from. And then last would be meeting Glenn and the other gentleman at his house. Like so many divine appointments. There was a guy out he was from Saskatchewan, happened to be in Calgary, but similar story to myself, and really got to connect with him. And when he found it, he says, oh, I like the sweater you're wearing. And I said, yeah. And he's like, Redemption House. I heard of them. I said, yeah. And he said, are you one of those guys? And I said, yeah. And he was blown away. He just, just so many amazing things. Just so thankful that I got to be a part of it.
So, this is awesome. Thank you, Matt. Yeah. That's one thing that Ken challenged us to do is honor. Is that we honor people when they speak and stand and they come into the presence. And thank you, Matt. We honor you, Adam, because you are a man of honor. And we're so blessed to have you here. So here's what happened. A couple things. So everyone had different times to share and just what God was doing. Because it was all around your journey of being a son or a father. And what is taking place in your life. Well, let me stand before you today and say this. That when Adam got up to speak on Thursday night, they went nuts. They absolutely went nuts. Adam was, you think Pastor Ken was full of energy? Adam was just, I was like, and it was absolutely beautiful. And so I'm so grateful for what Father has done in your life, in Claire's life, in Lynn's life, because it was not easy. It was not easy to follow the voice of God when no one else was doing what they were doing. And there was opposition, tons of opposition. And yet they said, no. I'll never forget when Claire said, God told me to do it. I guess I better do it. And I'm like, wow, where's my faith? And so this whole 4 days, 5 days we were there, it was all about love and trust. Because we're about relationships. And so that's what we want to foster here in this house. That we get to know one another. We get to encourage one another. And I'm going to close. Thank you, Adam. I'm going to close here, and we're going to pray over Redemption House and just a number of things. And